Are caves actually good enough to compete in Pioneer on a budget? Let's do a bit of spelunking and find out. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Budget Magic. And this week, we are doing some spelunking, but like literal spelunking. We're playing caves in Pioneer, and the best part of this deck, only $117, even though we're technically an 80 card deck, so we can play Yarian as our companion. So let's talk about our budget Pioneer Caves deck, what it's trying to do, jump into some games, see the deck in action. So to understand the deck, we gotta first talk about the mana base, because the whole gimmick of this deck is our mana base is almost all caves. Like, yes, there's a World Tree for fixing, there's a few basics, but if you look at our lands, a huge percent of them are caves. Some of the caves are pretty good, like Cavernous Maw, good creature land. Volatile Fall gives us like a Field of Ruin effect. Sunken Citadel makes it cheaper to activate or discover lands and so forth. But some of them are pretty janky, like Captivating Cave, Forgotten Monument, good mana fixing, but doesn't really do anything other than fix our mana. So why are we playing a deck that's full of caves rather than normal lands? And the answer is there's three really big payoffs for playing an almost all cave mana base. So number one, it gives us Calamitous Cave-In, which just is a great sweeper. For 4 mana, it deals damage to each creature and planeswalker equal to the number of caves we control and caves in our graveyard. So we can sack or discover caves, still get damage out of it. So this is just like sweep everything, including planeswalkers. It joins Farewell and Cut to Ribbons, is part of our removal. Cut to Ribbons looks kind of weird, but as you'll see, our deck's really good at making a ton of mana. So the Ribbons mode actually sometimes just wins us the game by draining our opponent for like 10 out of nowhere. So answer number one to why play caves, Calamitous Cave-In. Answer number two, and probably the biggest answer, is Causium Confluence. And Causium Confluence is kind of an absurd ramp spell. For 5 mana, we can ramp 3 caves, or we can put 3 counters on a cave and turn it into a 0/0, so essentially makes it a 3/3, or we can blow up an enchantment, and we can choose those modes more than once. So essentially, in the early game, we're usually triple ramping to get to all of our huge haymakers, and then in the late game, this turns into a weird finisher, where we're like, put 9 counters on a land, smash you, win the game, or make 3/3/3, smash you, win the game. So Causium Confluence is so good that I'm almost thinking about adding caves to some of my commander decks just so I can play it, because triple ramp for 5 is that strong. We also have Lotus Cobra to take advantage of all our lands coming into play, literal spelunking, so our caves come into play untapped, Escape to the Wilds, kind of ramp, but really it's here for the draw 5. The Impulse draw 5 for the next turn is so incredibly good, plus we get an extra land out of it. So that's reason number 2. We get to play Causium Confluence. Reason number 3 is Bat Colony. And Bat Colony, I feel like this card is kind of underrated. For 3 mana, assuming we use all cave mana, we get 3 1/1 flyers, and then whenever a cave enters, we get a +1/+1 counter on one of our creatures. So this combined with Felidar Retreat, which just landfall either puts a counter on all of our team and gives them vigilance or makes a cap, is one of our main finishers. We can just make a bunch of tokens, and then as we're Causium Confluencing and Splunking and Escape to the Wilds for extra land drops, we just make this huge board full of tokens, pump a big with counters, kill our opponent in a couple of attacks. We also have just some really big mana hungry creatures. Omnath makes mana, draws cards, gain life. It's kind of busted. Kenrith and Zakama, if we have enough mana to actually get these creatures going, they're incredibly strong thanks to their activated abilities. Kenrith draws us cards, gains us life, puts counters on things, hastes up the team. Zakama just blows up our opponent's board, gains us a bunch of life, and is a 9/9 trample. And then Genesis Ultimatum, kind of just for value. We make a lot of mana, so we just cast this to draw a bunch of cards, put some stuff into play. So that's the plan for winning the game. As far as our sideboard, the funniest part about this deck is we're a Yarian deck kind of by accident. So the initial build of this deck was actually from an infamous Small Japanese tournament, and it was a 60 card version of the deck with no Yarian, but it had a lot of really weird numbers. There were like 3 Splunkings, 3 Causium Confluences, like we're playing 3 copies of a lot of our best cards, and it just felt really weird and clunky. And I realized the problem was there just wasn't enough room in the deck to play a ton of lands, which the deck needs to function, and all the other cards. So I realized if we go up to 80 cards, then we get to play 4 copies of our best cards, and we get to play all the caves. So all this to say, Yarian is not very good in the deck, but it is a justification for playing 80 cards. If you just roll into a tournament with an 80 card deck and no Yarian, people are gonna be like, 80 cards is like super weird, isn't that, you're supposed to play 60, what are you doing? But if you roll up to a tournament with 80 cards in a Yarion, people are just like, oh, yeah, it's a Yarion deck, of course. So Yarion doesn't really do anything in our deck, but it is a reason to play enough cards to make the deck function. Otherwise, Tested Talents gives us a counter against control, some sweepers for aggro, some combo hate back to nature for enchantments, and that is Pioneer Caves on a budget. That's our deck for today. So let's jump into some games and see if we can do some spelunking in Pioneer. How big of a board of bat tokens can we make? How much value can we get out of our caves? Let's find out. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap-up. Need some magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. Want to help out the channel? Well, you can snag these super sweet new dice, playmats tokens, and more over at mtggoldfishmerch.com. Budget magic time. We are pioneering this week, playing some Pioneer Caves. And let's see what our opponent's up to. Ooh, Abriel Grazer. Oh wait, are they the Simic? It could be the green shell deck we played a couple weeks ago. That would be fun. Our hand's fine. The Lotus Cobras are good. And then a bunch of caves. Alright, opponent. What do you got? It's always fun, if they are the green shell deck, to play against a deck from a past video just to see how it does for other people. Abriel Grazer, number 2, and the Bounce Land. Definitely looks like the green shell deck. Hedge Maze, gonna do a little surveilling. Thankfully our opponent has 0 power. Ooh. Kazium Confluence will be good eventually. Let's get down Lotus Cobra number 1 and see what our opponent has. Outcaster, okay. Outcaster Greenblade, it is, I think, 100% the green shell deck now. I don't think any other deck plays Outcaster Greenblade. Well, this should be interesting. We don't have much removal, our opponent doesn't have much removal. This is going to be who can pop off harder. It is the Phil Mirror. Who can get the most value? Well, Lotus Cobra, number 2, and a cave. Make a little bit of mana. And I think we just kill the Green Blade. Might as well. No reason to take any damage here. And pass the turn. Next turn, we can get down the Kazium Confluence. The question's going to be, what do we do with it? Alright, opponent. Little frog ramp. I guess we probably just triple ramp? Grab some Discover lands, maybe? Opponent, land. And even more frogs. Alright, so opponent is definitely out ramping us now, but we can catch up with Kazium Confluence. And an Omnath, eh? Alright, so if we play a land that's 5 mana, then we Kazium Confluence, that's 5 mana, 6 mana. Can we also Genesis Ultimatum? I think we can Genesis. Oh, Pit of Offerings enters tapped. Okay, just kidding. So, in that case, let's Kazium Confluence, triple ramp, Omnath, I guess. All right. Well, yeah. Most of those colorless caves come into play on tap. The only one that doesn't, I guess, is that one. Well, let's get triple Discover land, make a bunch of mana, and yeah, if we had played the other land, I think we could have Genesis Ultimatumed off Lotus Cobra, which would have been sweet. But we can do that in the future. Let's just play an Omnath, draw guard. Scavenger Grounds, okay. Why did I put Scavenger Grounds in this deck? That's not technically a cave. What do you got? Green shell time? Opponent needs something big. They need something big here. We will eventually, perhaps next turn, if our Lotus Cobras live, which they should, because what do we got to worry about removal? Like Blue Sun's Twilight, I think, is the only real removal spell in that deck. We might be able to just outvalue the green shell deck, which is hilarious because the reason to play the green shell deck is you outvalue everyone else, but we might have built a deck that is even more value-y. Even more value-y than Fecund Green Shell of all things. About it. Oh! Wow! Okay. Well, Doppelgang, eh? Doppelgang X2. I don't know about copying the Omnath. Maybe it's still worth it. What would I have copied? I don't know. I feel like the first Doppelgang, a lot of times I just want to copy all lands. I probably would have went Bounce Land, Surveil Desert, maybe? I don't know. Well, opponent gets Omnath. They get a couple more frogs. They do a bunch of rampant. They make a bunch of Omnath mana. I guess this means we do get to untap with our Omnath. All right. Well, opponent did their big thing. Let's see if our big thing is bigger than their big thing. So we can do this, right? Green, green, red, red. We need to make blue, blue. All right, let's blue and blue. Well, been a while since I've resolved a Genesis ultimatum. What do we get? Okay, 3 lands, which will make, what, 6 more mana? And Escape to the Wilds is kind of sweet. Okay, this is gonna be this is gonna be a turn. So, all right, Death Piss Offer, get rid of the Doppelgang, I guess, and Akazium Confluence, sure. And then we get Omnath mana, we get Omnath damage. Are we farewelling? I don't even know if we want to farewell here. I don't think we need to yet, right? Our opponent, without a green shell, their creatures are very small. Let's just make some mana, Escape to the Wilds. Ooh. Oh, escape into double escape and a cut. Well, let's play the land, make some mana. Are we just escaping again? Wow, we're gonna draw like 15 cards this turn. Between the Genesis Ultimatum, double escape to the Wilds, and we get another extra land drop. Can we play more things? Let's make a mana. I think yeah, let's get down the Bat Colony. We don't get as many bats, only 2. But now we can start putting counters on things as we make our land drops. I guess we can cut away the Omnath. If we play an untap land, we can grab, yeah, let's untap land so we can grab Yarion. So funny story about this deck. This deck actually was inspired by an infamous small Japanese tournament deck. There was an infamous small Japanese tournament deck that was Pioneer Caves. So, and it was like pretty budget friendly. I was like, all right, I'm gonna try this for budget Magic. I started playing some games with it. It was so close. Oh, there's the green shell. All right, opponent found their big thing. Is it big enough though, now that we've double escaped to the Wilds and we have another one hanging in exile and we have 2 cut to ribbons in the graveyard, which is going to be a lot of damage at some point. Well, opponent, and we can also just farewell, which we might. Like the most realistic way of winning this game might be just farewell next turn and then just try to win with cut to ribbons over a couple turns, just burn our opponent out. Apparently we are a burn deck now. But anyway, I started with the infamous small Japanese tournament deck. It was so bad. It was playing like 3 of everything. It was very, very weird. And all of a sudden it struck me, the problem with this deck is we need to be able to play 80 cards to get 4 of all of our good cards and enough lands. So that's why we're a Yarion deck. We actually do not care about Yarion, but by playing Yarion, we can play 80 cards, which I think this deck should have done anyway. And we can feel okay about it. If you just run an 80 card deck without Yarion, people look at you weird. But if you got Yarion, they're like, oh, it's just a Yarion. Wow, 5 lands. All right, that was about as bad as an Escape to the Wilds can be. All right, let's play the land that's gonna go away next. Yeah, everything has reach too, so we can't even chip in for any damage before we Wrath. I think we are gonna Wrath though. The green shell is a lot of value, and our opponent, I guess they could one-shot us theoretically. Well, let's play the Volatile Fault. Counter on the Dork. Make a couple mana. If we don't use a farewell, we're gonna lose it anyway, which is, I guess, another reason to use it. Use it or lose it. Do we just want to escape first? Let's escape first. Resolving all 4 Escape to the Wilds across 2 turns is kind of insane. Can we? Well, a couple of non-lands. Good lord, do we hit a lot of lands. Could you imagine if we hadn't had the Escape to the Wilds, though? I think we would have drawn lands for 8 turns in a row. So good thing we had to escape to get the lands out of the way. Well, let's play another land. Trigger Omnath, hit you down to 16. Make some white mana. And I don't think the green shell deck, if I remember right, has counters in the main. I think we just get rid of creatures and enchantments. We give up our Batcave, but again, I think we have a game plan. The game plan is just to use these cut to ribbons, right? So getting rid of Batcave is fine to get rid of the Spelunking, I think. I'm honestly not sure how our opponent beats us from here. Farewell is such an incredibly brutal card. All right, well, I think we might be winning the ramp battle. Wait, can we win in 2 turns? Oh, I think we can. We have so many lands. So let's do a mini cut to ribbons for 7. Burn ya down to 9. And all right, opponent, show us that negate. Opponent needs to, I guess, have a counter. I don't think there's any way they kill us here. So I think it's counter or bust. Well, this deck can do a bit of ramping. The funny thing is our opponent started out ramping us too, but the like Cosmium Confluence into four Escape from the Wilds. And how about it? Scoops it up. And sideboarding wise, another Farewell is probably maybe fine. Is it worth Stone Braining? Maybe. We can get rid of Green Shell or Doppelgang. I feel like cards are getting... I kind of like Stone Brain effects more than I used to. I feel like cards are so powerful that getting rid of all of your opponent's best card actually... And there's so much virtual card advantage, so you find those cards more often. I feel like it's worth more than it used to be. What do we cut? I guess like maybe a Felidar Retreat. Run it like that, I guess. All right, on to game number 2. Caves versus Deserts. The age-old matchup. Which janky standard land type is best in Pioneer on a budget? Actually, our opponent's deck's not budget, although it's not expensive. Sure. We have a Forgotten Monument, so our mana's gonna be fine. Our mana looks very sketchy, but Forgotten Monument takes care of all those problems. And then I guess we just like, I think we got a game plan of sweep into Cosmium Confluence, into Massive Dinosaur, and tap our land, shoot down your board with a game opponent. I think the Green Shell deck might be the first deck where I actively liked Abriel Grazer. The fact that it draws a card with Green Shell makes up for all the things it does wrong. Let's just play Creature Cave past the turn. So our opponent probably has counters now. I think in the sideboard they probably have counters. Is that a cave? Are they playing caves? Cheating. Clifftop lookout. Sure. Gonna do a little frogging into a pathway. Ooh, Lotus Cobra. All right, well, let's get down Lotus Cobra. Ouch. And pass the turn. Ooh, so can we just turbo into Cosmium Confluence then? Will they counter the Cosmium Confluence? That's the other question. It's so good. Cosmium Confluence, I feel like is kind of a, ooh, Fecund Green Shell. Yeah, early Green Shell's good. Well, oh, and we can't even Wrath it. So now we need a Cosmium Confluence to get enough caves to Wrath away the Green Shell, I think. Test of Talents. Well, let's play the Cavernous Maw, make a green. And, well, let's ramp and ramp and ramp. I'm almost wondering if I should play Cosmium Confluence in Commander. Do we take all Discover lands? I think we just take a bunch of Discover lands. We could also take a bunch of Cavernous Maws. Actually, another Forgotten Monument's good. So now they will make each other make colored mana. Just in case we draw like a Genesis Ultimatum or something. Well, make a little mana and snag a Yarion. And, well, we take our beats for the turn. But then we should be able to sweep with counter backup. And then we play Zakama. And Zakama is kind of a ridiculous card. Zakama is kind of a ridiculous card if you can't kill it. Hopefully they don't have Blue Sun's Twilight. If they steal our Zakama, then it's also a ridiculous card for our opponent. It goes both ways. They need to draw some cards with their Green Shell, I think, before the sweep happens. If this is just one Green Shell trigger, we're in such a good spot. If our opponent can, like, Glasspool Mimic or something and pop off, then they might be able to just rebuild after the Wrath. Tapping. Wow. Okay, that's good. Well, maybe good news. Opponent goes to combat. It's good news in the sense that they're not drawing cards or doing anything meaningful. Bad news in the sense that what are those cards in our opponent's hand? Maybe they're trying to play around a Farewell that they saw in game 1. It could also increase the odds of them having a Green Sun's Twilight. Like, in theory, we could Zakama, untap our land, sweep, keep the Zakama around, because we only have 8 caves. But if they have Blue Sun's Twilight, then we just lose? Actually, you know what? I think we're just sweeping. Let's just sweep. Sweep away the Green Shell. Sweep away the Lotus Cobra. If our opponent has a counter... The other problem with Zakama is if they have, like, Disdainful Stroke or something, we get so wrecked and then we just die in the backswing. I think we gotta make sure the counter... Change the equation. Well, I guess we could have resolved the Zakama through that somehow. I don't think I've ever seen a green spell be too expensive for Change the Equation, but... Wow, okay. We also get a little information advantage, and now we know. So I got a bunch of counters, one Stone Brain... well, get rid of the Change of the Equation, I guess. They only have one of them. Huh. So the good news is, our opponent's hand has no threats. Just another Abriel Grazer. We're seeing the downside of Abriel Grazer. The bad news is, that is a Blue Sun's Twilight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Volatile Fault. Get rid of this creature land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Zakama is a ridiculous amount of mana. What I'd like to do is bait them into using, because our opponent's at 20, Zakama's going to take a lot of turns to win. I would like to bait them into spending the Blue Sun's Twilight on a non-Zakama creature, and then play the Zakama once the Blue Sun's Twilight's gone, and then we should be in very good shape to win the game, right? Opponent grabs land, we get a treasure. Restless Mindstalk, not killing us today. And, all right, Spelunking, that's a good one. And opponent draws a card. Seems like a land. You can tell by the pause about it. Finds a Surveil land and surveils away a land. Let's see what we draw. Lotus Cobra. I mean, we can try to beat down with the Cavernous Maws. They can't steal those with Blue Sun's Twilight, so I guess we might as well. Yeah, let's... Creature lands. I mean, that's one of the big upsides of caves, right? Is we have this tutorable creature land. Do we want to play the Lotus Cobra? Let's just wait. If our opponent doesn't do anything, in theory, we can just win with the Cavernous Maws. Okay. Oh, this might work out perfectly. So if we hit our opponent with the Cavernous Maws, I bet we can make them Blue Sun's Twilight a Lotus Cobra, which is... That is about as low impact as a Blue Sun Twilight can be. Get in, hit ya. Down to 8. Surprised I didn't play the Grazer just as a chump blocker. Yeah, let's play the Lotus Cobra. And I think our opponent's going to feel like, I gotta steal this, right? And then the coast is super clear for Zakama to just close out this game. Zakama unchecked is going to win pretty much every game. Let's play the land on blue. Yeah, you can see the Yarion. I guess it can blink like a Spelunking. It can blink an Omnath. So there are ways that it can be like draw a card, but it's so bad in this deck. I just didn't want to be embarrassed about playing 80 cards. All right, there it is. Blue Sun's Twilight. Well, that worked exactly how we hoped. Opponent Blue Sun's Twilights for Lotus Cobras. But now, oh man, they could still technically have a counter, I guess. No, they just had negates, right? Well, I guess they could have, we want to tap all of our mana because Zakama's going to untap it. I don't know how much life we want to pay. I guess we can spend the, we have so much mana, it doesn't really matter. So let's see, green, blue, white, and float our mana, and Zakama, oh, we need red. Yeah, whatever. We'll just use the treasure. That's fine. Zakama, do a little untapping. Yeah, they can't counter it, I don't think. Now, probably snipe the Lotus Cobras, just in case. We don't want our opponent to, like, have a huge doppelganger or something. That would be awkward. So, kill the Cobra. Our mana base is kind of painful. Ouch, down to 3. Although we can gain life with Zakama. 1, 2, 3. Snipe the Lotus Cobra. And, well, I guess we might as well fire up a Cavernous Maw and hit you down to 5. And do we care about the Spelunking? I think we might as well. Yeah, let's blow up the Spelunking. And all right, opponent, can you beat a Zakama? I think the biggest bad is Dinosaur. I guess Galta is technically bigger, but Zakama, you don't get to cast it much, but boy, when you cast Zakama, it is a good time. Opponent, Outcaster Greenblade. Also a 9/9 Trampler, which could be relevant here. And Vigilance even. Opponent finds another bounce land. Plays the bounce land, picks up not the Surveil land. I feel like if you're going to play this deck, you really want to focus heavily on picking up Surveil lands. Like, the card selection you get from bouncing the Surveil lands again and again is actually really, really, really helpful for finding, like, green shells and so forth. Wait, did we just win? We have Cavernous Maws. We have removal from Zakama. I feel like we win here. Let's see, 1, 2... So if we shoot down the Grazer, because it's a Grazer. We can't let a real Grazer look good this game. Kill the Grazer. And then I guess we just fire up Cavernous Maws, and that should be lethal. Unless our opponent has something in hand, then this should be good, right? So double Cavernous Maw. And I guess we'll play Cavernous Maw so we can gain life if we need to. And smack ya. Wow, that went pretty good. This deck can go big. It can go big. 3 steps ahead. Sure, gonna copy the green blade. Wow. Oh, does that mean they actually had a counter in hand for Zakama? They just didn't leave up the mana? That's... Well, I guess, how do you expect a Zakama? Yeah, that's... I think Trample is going to ruin our opponent's day here. Opponent thought they had a sneaky line, but Trample makes fools of us all, and, well, caves better than deserts. Apparently, at least for that match. Well, yeah, let's just keep casting Zakamas. Seems like a good way to win some games. Looks like caves, and we're playing Pioneer, so keep. This might be an aggro draw. This deck's so funny, because it's really like a ramp deck, or like maybe a mid-range ramp deck. I'm not even sure what to classify it as, but we can occasionally just get these weird aggro draws with Bat Colony. Like, sometimes you just make 3 bats on turn 3 and then start putting counters on them, and sometimes that's enough. Opponent appears to be mono-blacking. Case of the Stashed Skeleton, sure. Well, let's bat him. Bat Colony. Number 1. Make 3 bats. Bat Colony is actually a pretty good card. You have to be playing caves, obviously, but when you get 3 1/1s and then a counter pretty much every land you play, that's actually very good. Corpses of the Lost. Yup. Do we need a block? Probably. Probably kill the token. This doesn't let our opponent descend. I think we're probably going to need the Farewell at some point this game. We'll see, though. We can play another Bat Colony. Maybe we can raise. All right, well, grow the bat, and grow the bat, and hit you for 3. What do you got, Mono Black? Next turn, we're not doing much of anything by the looks. I guess we can play a Lotus Cobra, but could use an Escape to the Wilds. Escape to the Wilds. So good. Oh, about it. Well, we're going to take our beats for now. We're going to make our opponent deal with our stuff, because if not, I think we can just get the bat win. What do... Ooh. Wrinkles Prank, eh? Well, discard Lotus Cobra, discard Cut to Ribbons, sack a couple of bats. That's actually kind of cute, because then it also turns on the Case of the Stashed Skeleton, so our opponent's going to get to tutor, and it lets them descend. That was a really good Wrinkles Prank. Not bad. Ooh, Genesis Ultimatum. That's a minute away, but should we get to Genesis Ultimatum? Well, let's grow the bat, grab Yarion. I've actually kind of like Cut to Ribbons. In a deck like this that can make so much mana, you basically play a slightly undercurve removal spell, but then the late game inevitability is actually kind of ridiculous. Like, right now we have only 3 damage, but our opponent, we only need to get them down to 5, down to 7, and eventually we're just gonna have enough lands that that's just gonna win us this game. And it's hard to interact with unless you got a counter spell or like Graveyard Ape. I don't know what they have to take. Farewell, probably? The Genesis Ultimatum's definitely threatening, but it is still at least 2 turns of... Oh. All right, opponent's just gonna... Well, all right. Everyone's empty-handed. Let's get down the Lotus Cobra. Those Rankle Pranks were kind of brutal. Although our opponent is down to 8. 8 is not a lot of life when we have this Cut to Ribbons in the graveyard. Found it. Gonna do some tutoring with the Case of Stashed Skeletons. The Castle Lochwain. This is actually kind of interesting. Castle Lochwain's good. The Field of Ruin. Ooh, that is a good one. Liliana. Gonna get rid of the Lotus Cobra. Huh. All right. Oh, Kazium Confluence. Man, if we had one more land, this would have just won us the game. Oh, this is so risky. Yeah. Here they come. I mean, our opponent has 1 card in hand, right? We're just going to make 3 3/3s. And we're going to pray really hard that our opponent cannot interact. Like, they can't take down Lily this turn. If they draw another Wrinkles Prank, I'm going to puke and cry. No, not that. They already used 2. The odds are so low. How do you play around the 3rd Wrinkles? How do you play around the 3rd Wrinkles Prank? Seriously. Sack our lands. Our ramp deck is down to 3 mana. 3 mana. All right, we draw a... now we got to kill the Lily, too. We draw a Volatile Vault, which is not bad. I'm not interested in dying today. We get to put some counters on our land, although... Yeah, we're going to kill the Castle Lochwain. I don't know if this is correct, because if our opponent realizes They can Field of Ruin our 5/5, but we have this Cut to Ribbons. We have this Cut to Ribbons that will eventually, theoretically, win us this game. Does our opponent know? Our opponent knows. All right. Well played, opponent. Well played. Well played. Well, we get to get a forest. We also need more black mana if we're going to cast this Cut to Ribbons. All right, another... Oh, man. Oh, we could have blown up the Field of Ruin and then got rid of the Castle Lockwayne. That's awkward. So we need our opponent... Oh, another Lily. Liliana ultimating. All right. Opponent. Hopeless Nightmare hits us to 11, takes up Lily. Liliana ultimating would be bad. The Discover land could have value. We need our opponent to play a non-basic so we can blow it up with Volatile Cave to get another Black Source to eventually cast this Ribbids. Or we need to just draw a Cosmium Confluence. That would be the ultimate. If we can just draw a Cosmium Confluence, pound it. Taking up the Lily. Are they going to Field of Ruin? Not yet. Genesis Ultimatum. Well, I mean, that gives us something to discard to Lily. All right, let's discover, see what we can find here. This does put us down a land for the Cut to Ribbon. Ooh, Omnath. Okay, Omnath is actually pretty good. Omnath, it's gonna die to the Lily, but we need this Lily to not ultimate. Ooh. Ooh. All right. Pits of Offering is actually very good here because that's gonna give us black mana. That is Black Source number 2 with our treasure. Grow the Omnath a bit, not that it really matters. Because I'm sure if they don't draw a removal spell, the Lily is going to kill this. How much mana? 1, 2. 1, 2. So we can burn our opponent for 4 right now. This is after we lost a lot of lads. We, like, almost Armageddoned ourselves. Was that Cosmium Confluence? Who has the third Rankles prank, though? Like, how do you realistically play around Rankles prank number 3? That just does not seem like a thing you should play around. About it, Hopeless Nightmare cracks it. Gonna do some scrying. Basically just bad surveil. It's funny, I used to love scrying, but now the surveil's more prevalent. Kind of like, surveil. Who wants to scry? Yeah, all right. Well, at least I didn't draw a removal spell. That means we get a couple turns until this Liliana ruins our day. Are we going to Guild of Guin? No. Case of the Stash Skeleton. Sure. I mean, I guess I still can Field of Ruin. Ooh. All right. Calamitous Cave-In. So good news. Gets rid of Lily and the skeleton. Bad news. It does mean they're going to solve their case and get to tutor again. Although, what's the best thing they can tutor for? What a weird game. We might have misplayed that Cosmium Confluence. It might have been better just to ramp and just go all in on Cut to Ribbons, but it seemed like such a good idea at the time. We don't have a basic swamp in the deck, so they can actually put us down a Black Source. Yeah, all right. So that makes sense. So now all of our caves don't tap for much. What do we need? So we have black, green, green, white. I guess red. Let's take red. So we can still Cut to Ribbons, just barely. Davriel. Well, there goes our Genesis Ultimatum. This has been actually ended up being a very interesting game. Pioneer is actually pretty awesome. Oh, wow. Okay, wait, we can't even cast it, but it is good for discarding. All right, so I think what we do, Cut to Ribbons you for 4. And now we pray for a Black Source. All we need, our opponent's gonna make us discard the Cut to Ribbons. Oh, another Lily, okay. Come on, deck, come on. If our opponent plays a non-basic, we can do it. We just need something that makes black mana. That's it, that's all. Something that makes black mana, and we're in business. Found it. Zach's the case. Watch them have like Cling to Dust. Cling to Dust would just straight up beat us here, I think. There's no way we're beating all these Planeswalkers if they get rid of this Cut to Ribbons. I mean, I guess we could draw another Cave-In, but unlikely we beat all of them. I've never wanted a Swamp Horse in my life. Come on, Magic Gods. Come on. Be nice to the budget deck. Opponent passes. Davriel bangs us to 9. Omnath, we can cast. Draw a card. Scavenger Grounds, sure. Gain a little life. I mean, gaining 4 is not horrible. We are on this Davriel clock. Opponent smart enough to not play the non-basic. Oh. Well, okay, they found the answer. So what do we want now? Cosium Confluence, I guess? This time for real, without our opponent having a Rankles prank. Cosium Confluence, take 2. Calamitous Cave-In, Cosium Confluence. Either one of those would be great. Cosium Confluence, we just win. Calamitous Cave-In, then we reset the Planeswalkers and continue for a while. We are going to die kind of quickly to these Planeswalkers. All right, Davriel hits us to 11.
Struggling?
Ooh, Cavernous Maw. Okay, Cavernous Maw is good. Wait, is there a way we can... Oh, I don't think that works. Okay. Yeah, I was wondering if there's a way we could animate the creature land and get the counters, but I don't think it actually works that way. Okay, so technically, Cavernous Maw plus land drop gives us lethal next turn. Gets around the plane. All right, opponent also draws a creature land to match our creature land, so no longer lethal. Actually, no, we have the volatile fault, so we can get rid of it. Opponent Davriel's us to 9.
I've left you.
Oh, Cosium Confluence. Wait, does this work? 1, 2, 3. So we can volatile fault first. Blow up the creature land, get a treasure. That leaves 6 mana. We need an untap land. Okay, I think this is actually gonna do it. So volatile vault, get rid of the Mutavault. Sure. And so, I mean, it is technically correct to always float. It's probably good just to get in the habit of it, because then you'll do it when it actually does matter. Floating mana here, though, does not actually matter. So now, green, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and Cosium Actually, wait a minute. We need to do that on a different land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Cosium Confluence. Counters and counters. The fact that this makes a hasty 9/9 is actually, I feel like this card's really good, to the point where I'm considering starting to play some caves in my commander decks just so I can play Cosium Confluence. Like triple ramp for 5 and have the option to hit an enchantment or make a creature actually seems really good. Well, about it. How would you like a 9/9 land to the face? And that was a grind. That was a grind and a half. But in the end, the caves came through. That was actually just a super interesting game. It was very back and forth. Our opponent did a bunch of stuff. Every time someone got ahead, the other player would catch up. That was just a really good game of Magic. Sideboard-wise, we don't have much. We don't have much at all. Brothers at End does hit Planeswalkers. I don't even know if that's worth it. Like, in theory... It could get rid of the Planeswalkers, but that seems kind of like a stretch. Cut to ribbons. They don't have a lot of creatures. Yeah, we'll try one Brothers to Den, run it like that. Opponent's deck is kind of weird. It's kind of discardy, but it's also kind of skeleton-y. Yeah, this hand, I guess, is fine. Escape to the Wild seems good against a bunch of discard. Zacama a little bit steep, but in theory, like, if we can Spelunking into Escape, maybe we get to Zacama. Let's play Sunken Citadel. On, I guess, red. Probably the scariest thing our opponent could do is just turn 3 Lily. Well, all right, more Sunken Citadels on blue. Trying to slowly build Omnath mana. 1 Sunken Citadel at a time. Come on, no Lily. No Lily. I guess Slasher would also be insanely bad. We haven't seen a Slasher, though. They might not be playing it. They might be playing Corpses instead. All right, Corpses of the Lost. That is, I mean, Corpses of the Lost is a good card. But I will 100% take that over a Lily or a Slasher every time. All right, let's Spelunking. I guess it doesn't really matter what we put into play. Put a land into play. All right, well, hopefully there's not another skeleton. We would like to be able to escape to the wilds next turn. We don't have white mana yet, which is kind of awkward with this Felidar retreat. Ooh, Necromentia. All right, what is our opponent most scared of? What do you even name against this deck? I don't even know. Escape to the Wilds? A random cave? Cavernous Maw? Cavernous Maw is, like, really good. I don't know. I don't know if I'd bring in Necromentia against this deck. I mean, Cosium Confluence is really good. If we had one, it would just ramp us into the Sakamas super quick. But I'm kind of fine with this. Like, Cosium Confluence is good. One of the biggest payoffs for playing a bunch of caves, but... I don't think we really need it this hand. All right, opponent takes away our Confluences. This also means our opponents, I guess they played a Mutavault, but they're not adding a threat to the battlefield, which means we can hopefully play this. Ooh, an Omnath, but we still don't have white mana. Well, I mean, I guess it's just Escape to the Wilds. This does mean we should be able to escape without dying. That's the only downside of Escape is a lot of mana without impacting the board immediately. I guess play another Captivating Cave. I'm honestly not sure Captivating Cave is worth it in this deck. I mean, it does trigger all of our cave stuff, right? We want as many caves as possible. I would say it is definitely the worst cave, though. Maybe we'll win a game with it someday, but 4 mana and sack for 2+1/+1 counters is so much mana. So much mana for so little power. Okay, there's the that's kind of fine. Like, Lily's still really good against us, but I would rather deal with it now than on turn 3. We're just going to pitch Zakama, I think. With no Kazium Confluence, we're not going to be ramping into it anytime soon. Bound it. Gonna smack us. Well, we are kind of dying, down to 12. I don't know, this Omnath should be able to gain us back some life at some point. We still kind of need more efficient white mana. Let's make some 1/1s. We want to use our escape cards before they go away if we can help it. Island and Snegyarion and pass the turn. We will take our beats down to 9. We need our bats to attack this Liliana. Plus, the bats are pretty good with Felidar Retreat. That's our aggro draw. Bats into Felidar Retreat, pump the bats. Got them. What are we doing about it? Rankle's Prank. Huh. Yarion and... I guess... Yeah, we'll keep the creature land. We can discard the Discover land. Sack some bats. And... yeah, I guess we just discard the Genesis Ultimatum. At least we still have a bat to attack this Lily. And we can get down our Omnath, which is good, potentially. Or, maybe Felidary. Ooh. And an Escape to the Wilds. Well, let's play Omnath. Plus, it's big enough to block the skeleton. Now, let's grow the bat. Gain a bit of life. Get back out of the danger zone. We were actually pretty close to being dead there. That Rankle's Prank damage down to 5. Well, let's chip in at Lily. As long as, I mean, Lily's very good, but as long as it doesn't ultimate, we can kind of manage it. I feel like we're in an okay place now, especially if we don't lose this Escape to the Wilds. If we actually get to escape next turn and draw 5, then we're really good. Pound it. Taken down. Well, Bat, you did your job. And Corpse of the Lost returns. But yeah, I mean, sure, that's good. But, I mean, opponent has a Castle Lockwain for card advantage, but we just do all of that at once. Many turns of Castle Lockwaining. Ooh. All right, now our mana's going to be perfect. It is awkward that we have to tap the mana base. All right, we're just going to play the Monument, make our mana perfect. That'll make this much easier. We didn't have quite enough mana to make white for Felidar Retreat and then Escape to the Wilds and then play the land drop because we just didn't have any real white mana. But now we can play the Felidar Retreat. Now we can Escape to the Wilds. Find, a bunch of lands. I guess the Volatile Fault's kind of good. Trigger. Oh, yeah, we get Omnath mana. I forgot. Oh, yeah, this is actually really good. Although we don't have anything to do with it, really. I guess we can play another Lotus Cobra. Well, grow the Lotus Cobra. Grow the team. And, yeah, I'll play another Lotus Cobra. Oh, so much mana going to waste. Do we even care about the Castle Lockwain? So we can just go face. Liliana on 1 doesn't matter. We can blow up the Mutavault to make sure our opponent doesn't have an extra chump blocker. Or we can get rid of the Castle Lockwain to make sure our opponent doesn't draw into, like, a Rankle's Prank or something. All right, gonna fire up the... Oh, maybe our opponent's just gonna block. Well, let's see what they do here. If they double block, I think we just let it go. All right, yep, both in front of a Lotus Cobra. Well, that was a pretty good Lotus Cobra. Make some mana, get through a Mutavault, get through a token, hit you to 10. And now we can definitely blow up this Castle Lockwain. Our opponent doesn't really have enough mana to use it effectively anyway at the moment, but... just in case. Yeah, blow it up, get a try. We have more lands than we're going to need to win this game, so we might as well. Volatile Fault's weird. I feel like it's kind of definitely worse than Field of Ruin, but it is a cave, so I think that in our deck, it's worth it. But in general, getting a treasure instead of a real land doesn't make up for being 1 mana less. Ooh, does that do it? Opponent, Lily, can take it up, but that doesn't really matter. And do we have lethal 6, 7? Oh, I think we do, right? So, play the land, pump the team, and Exaxes Exacxies thanks to Bat Colony. All right, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. Well, game 1 was kind of insane. Such a good game. Game 2, actually it was kind of close, right? Opponent had us down to 5, so they almost got us before he stabilized. But in the end, Cave Power, too good. Too good for the discard deck. This hand's so clunky. I think we're going to try it just because Bat Colony is pretty sweet. And if we just draw land and triple bat and we have a removal spell, I think it's fine. It is a little risky that we don't hit another land. Pit of Offering, run it out. Pit of Offering is kind of funny. The Graveyard Hate mode is sometimes actually very relevant. Opponent gets in with their Mockingbird. And Fairy Miscreant. Ooh, are they playing fairies? Are we getting ferried? I mean, all of our caves are going to make all colors shortly anyway. Yeah, let's Forgotten Monument. And I think we're just going to cut the Fairy Miscreant. Just on the off chance they have another and they can draw a card or something. Oh, opponent. Chips in for 1. Well, all right, there's a Captivating Cave. Well, if this resolves, we're in a pretty good spot. It turns out that Bat Colony is equal to a whole bunch of our opponent's cards. Opponent's doing so much work. Flood Router. Opponent's doing so much work to make 1/1 flyers. Bat Colony just does it all at once. So opponent must be some sort of like flash stack. All right, Fatal Push kills a bat. Wait again. All right. Well, opponent. That Bat Colony is going to end up being like a 7 for 1 or something. Spends 2 real removal spells on bat tokens. Sadly, our lands are tapped, so we're going to grab the Yarion. I mean, I think what happens here, our opponent, so he can hit us for what, 3, 4, 5 with the Mutavault? I feel like this Calamitous Cave-In is just, wow. Wow. That Bat Colony ate 3 Fatal Pushes. Oh, that is, yeah, I mean, now we're just gonna, I guess, play, well, yeah, I guess they're both Pit of Offering. All right, let's just cave in, sweep your board. We drop to 7. They can hit us down to 5, play the Pit of Offerings, snag, let's see, blue, black, and I guess red. It's not like we're getting our stuff back from the graveyard anyway. That was the best Bat Colony of all time. I can't believe they spent a Fatal Push on each of them. About it. Beautiful. Opponent's got to feel like we got a chance to grind this out, but once this Omnath comes down, unless our opponent has a counter, I feel like this is where our opponent's dreams go to die. Omnath? Oh, wow, didn't even hit the battlefield. Yeah, I mean, just gaining 4 life is going to make it really hard for our opponent to come back. Well, Bat Colony... Wait, did our opponent just... They scooped the match? Bat Colony scared them out of Magic. Well, that was a freebie. I don't know if I'm trying to think, has there ever been a deck on Arena where I've chosen to draw? Ugh. Well, we're not going to keep the 1 volatile fault hand. Yeah, this is fine. Double Forgotten Monument means our mana is going to be good. Put the plains to the bottom, I guess, and see what happens. Go Bat Colony. Well, Cavernous Maw. Go. I don't think there is a deck where I've ever chosen to draw an Arena. Ooh, Island. Oh, are we getting crimmed? Well, let's get down a Lotus Cobra. All right, Fading Hope. Bounce the Lotus Cobra. Sure, scries to the top. Opponent, Island, and passes. Well, okay, try this again. Lotus Cobra. Oh, come on now, Unsubstantiate. Bounces a Lotus Cobra. Okay, this Lotus Cobra just does not want to stick. Opponent, MDFCs. Passes. Well, okay. Lotus Cobra. 3rd time is the charm, right? No, serious? Divine. What is happening? What is happening? Okay, 4th time's the charm. I think that's the saying. Opponent, divide by 0, gets environmental studies. They just will not stop bouncing this Lotus Cobra. What is their deck? I have no idea what our opponent's doing. I have no idea what's going on over there. I do have very little confidence in us resolving a spell, but yeah, I mean, play the land, make a green mana. Let's Lotus Cobra. Let's Lotus Cobra. Lotus Cobra in Bat Colony, I think. The card we really, well, let's just grab Yarion. That's fine. I think that they're going to counter any of our meaningful spells. Oh. Mind Splice Apparatus, and Environmental Sciences for 1 mana to get an island. I mean, I can respect our opponent having some nice islands at least. Jace Wielder. Is this a brew? Did our opponents just build a mono blue Mind Splicer Apparatus deck that bounces? Oh, Farewell. I mean, in theory, Farewell can get rid of that Mind Splice Apparatus, but for now, we need to draw some cards. Only one. Wow, that was actually pretty bad. Only 1 land is very bad. This would where we would have actually not minded hitting one of those escapes that's like 5 lands or something, 4 lands. Well, makes some mana that doesn't do anything. I think we better hit the Jace. Jace is one of those cards. If your opponent plays it, you gotta think something bad's happening because no one just plays Jace Wielder Mysteries fairly. There's better fair planeswalkers. So I assume it's gotta be some sort of, is there an inverter combo that I'm not thinking of? There's no selective memory, but like, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. Opponent plays a land. I do know that their spells are getting cheaper and cheaper, and they're drawing lots of cards. Upkeep's. Is this a turns deck? Oh my god. Discontinuity. All right. Sure. Well, joke's on you, opponent. We didn't want that turn anyway. Man, that's so painful, because that gets all the escape to... This might just be the worst matchup possible. They get to fizzle all of our Escape to the Wilds cards with Discontinuity. Wait, is this mono blue turns in Pioneer? I mean, I don't know how this deck ever beats aggro, but we might have to try building this. I have not ever seen a turns deck in Pioneer, I don't think. At least not since Nexus was banned. Not recently. Well, all right, opponent plays land. Passes. Upkeep stomps it. Okay. Experimental Augury, that's... I was getting ready for another Discontinuity. Boy. I don't know how long I'm going to sit through this. Fading Hope. Bounces the Lotus Cobra. Sure. I feel the scoop. I got an itchy trigger finger with the scoop here. Just good enough, phone. Good enough. You did it. You took all the turds. Wow, that one hurt. Bounce your Lotus Cobra. Discontinuity. Jace, discontinuity. Oh my god. We also have like very minimal sideboard cards for this matchup. We can bring in the Test of Talents, which could be very good. Otherwise, there's not much. We don't have a way to kill a Mind Splicer Apparatus. Yeah, run like that. Oh, this might just be the nightmare matchup, though. It might be. This might be the one. All right, opponent. Can we have a turn this game, opponent? Can we have a turn, please? Just let us do something. All right, we're gonna play first. Was that an early scoop? Probably. You can yell all you want about that one. Turn stacks. Turn stacks are so brutal to play against. If it's like, yeah, sure, maybe they fizzle eventually, but they got the Jace going. They got the discontinuities. All their spells are so cheap. Well, all right. Forgotten Monument. Spelunking. Let's see if we can get our ramp on. So what's our most realistic... Unsubstantiate. Sure. What's our most realistic plan to winning this game? Maybe a quick Felidary retreat, make some cats? Well, Spelunking. Divide by Zero. Divide by Zero's got to be one of the least likely bannings in Standard recently. It's still funny that card ended up getting banned. Although... honestly, I guess it is kind of brutal. Well, more Calamitous Cave-ins. All right, 3rd time's the charm. I'm feeling deja vu. Let's actually Felidary retreat, see if we can make some cats. Does our opponent even care about cats? Apparently not. Well, let's eat some cards. They could have delve spells in their deck. Treasure Cruise Dig Through Time would actually make a lot of sense. So just keeping the graveyard empty seems... I was kind of hoping they didn't have that. Yeah, maybe we need Artifact Destruction in our sideboard. Although, really, are we going to build a deck to beat Mind Splicer Apparatus? That seems kind of silly, since our opponent's the first person I think I've ever seen to play it in Pioneer. Omnath. Opponent, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Please don't divide by zero us. Just syncopate. Sure. Well, play the land, make a cat. Down to 15. How do you like us? Oh, wait, maybe not. Fading Hope. How does our opponent not ever run out of cards? All right, takes up the Mind Splice apparatus. Environmental Sciences for free. That's okay. More than enough mana to start doing discontinuity shenanigans. Oh, no upkeep stop. Come on, no upkeep stop this time. Passes. Okay, no upkeep stop. All right, this means we get to Spelunking. Whatever will you do, opponent? I mean, we do get to make a couple cats here, which is, ooh, Stonebrain. Stonebrain actually seems sweet if we can resolve it. We'll play the land on green. Let's grow the cat and the Cavernous Maw. And play another Cavernous Maw. I mean, I think when it comes down to it, the way we win this game is by attacking. I know, surprise, surprise. We're playing Magic, trying to get our opponent's life total to 0. Who would have thought? But seriously, our best bet is to kill our opponent before they start looping extra turns. Because once they start looping extra turns, the odds of us winning become very low. Doubly so because I'll probably just scoop. Ooh, Castle Vantress? Okay. Wait, are we going to resolve Stonebrain? I think we just snap name Discontinuity. Hopefully our creature lands and our cat can deal with the Jace. I mean, in theory, we have lethal next turn. If this resolves, we might actually have a shot here. Oh, all right. Haha, opponent was just giving us that nice sense of false hope, as any good mono blue turns player would do. They could have just fired off the negate, but no, first we're gonna do a little scrying first to make you think that your Stonebrain might resolve. All right, opponent, only 2. All right. Elrond's Epiphany. I was gonna say only 2 cards in hand, but if one of those is an extra turn spell, that's also multiple chump blockers. Opponent. I mean, their spells just all cost whatever their blue mana symbols are now. They have so many counters on this Mind Splice apparatus. All right, opponent. What do you got? How about no extra turn? If they don't have an extra turn here, I mean, if they just draw some lands, I think we're good, right? Opponent. Passing? No. No, the upkeep. Stop set. All right. Well, discontinuity. Yeah, sure. Mind Splice takes up. All right, we're gonna have to build. We're gonna have to build this deck. I think it is so annoying to play against. We just have to. We have to play it. We have to. Finale of Revelation. No max hand size. Draw 10. Untap lands, and we scoop it up. We might have to try to get that deck list because that was one of the most annoying decks I've played against in a long time. We are trying to recover from that brutal mono blue turns beat down. This hand, it seems, well, don't be aggro as long, oh, blue white, okay. Well, hopefully our opponent's not too aggro. As long as our opponent's not aggro, this hand's sweet, and the Spelunking helps. Oh boy. Are we up against control? Are we up against the Crim? The Crim deck? Opponent, land in. Passes. Looking like blue-white control. Well, let's see how this goes. Buckle up, we might be here for a minute. Well, let's play the land, play the Spelunking. No more lies. Land and passing. Fountain Port's a pretty good one. Well, let's play the land. Snag the Arion. We have a lot of 5-drops for our opponent to counter here. We don't really have counter protection in this deck, so I guess we just have to fire stuff off and hope that something slips through. Well, I mean, let's start casting 5-drops, I guess. I mean, what else are we gonna do? Let's play Cavernous Maw, I think, might be relevant this game. Let's Cosmium Confluence. We're just gonna try a triple ramp. One way that we can get around counters is just getting enough mana that we can start double spelling. Is this actually happening? Okay, I'm kind of surprised, but we will accept a Discover Land and a Cavernous Maw. And do we want a Maw? Let's take the Monument. Let's take the Monument for fixing. Opponent. I'm gonna blow up the World Tree. Well, that's upside of the Monument, right? We have a backup. We have a backup fixer if our opponent gets rid of the World Tree. Okay, well, feeling a little better now that we actually resolved a Cosmium Confluence. The other thing is a lot of their counters, or at least some of them, are no more lies, right? So enough mana we can maybe just pay for some of them. Opponent fishes us down to 18. Calamitous Cave-In might seem bad in this matchup, but I assume they're going to have Planeswalkers, and it does hit Planeswalkers. I mean, I guess we just run it back? Triple ramp, Cosmium Confluence? Oh, are they going to counter this one? All right, veto. So they're okay with us getting ahead on mana, but just not too far ahead on mana. Well, play the land and pass the turn. Next turn we can double 5-drop. About it. Gonna make a fish. Watch us just die to these fish tokens. And watch us lose to Fountain Port. Fountain Port's so good. I love that card. Opponent gets it, hits us. Down to 16, sure. Well, let's see what we find. Cavernous, at some point, we're gonna have to start Cavernous Mawing. I would love to resolve Escape to the Wilds. Let's play the Maw first. Yeah, let's just escape so we can pay for a No More Lies. They just used a veto. Okay, Memory Deluge. Whiff, whiff, whiff. If we resolve this and get to draw 5, that would be very helpful against control. Opponent snags a couple of cards. Okay. Not done for you yet. Let's play the Lotus Cobra. I mean, I guess we play the Cut to Ribbons just to get it in the graveyard. I feel like this Cut to Ribbons, the removal mode, not very good. The other mode, though, might actually matter against the control deck. Well, if you want to counter this, that's fine. We just want it in the graveyard. All right, March of Otherworldly Light, get rid of the Lotus Cobra. Yup. I mean, we have enough mana that it doesn't really matter. Opponent. Teferi. Hooray! Well, I mean, as long as we resolve this Calamitous Cave-In, it's kind of fine. Fishes us down to 14. That fish damage is adding up. It's adding up. I'm gonna untap some lands. Another Cut to Ribbons, eh? Yeah, play the Cavernous Maw. Calamitous Cave-In. Yeah, hitting Planeswalkers actually means this card at least does something against control. So we get rid of the fish, we get rid of Teferi, run out a Very Bad Yarion. I mean, Very Bad Yarion's still a 4/5 flyer, which it's something, right? It's a clock. It's a clock. I feel like at some point this game's going to come down to us firing up a lot of the cave creature land. I think that's going to be a Cavernous Maw kind of game. Bound it. Are we dealing with Yari? Oh, they got Dig. You can see them hovering on the graveyard. Dig through time? Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Pound it. Kind of like a super Memory Deluge. Ooh, drawing Pit of Offerings would actually be sweet to snag this Memory Deluge before they can flash it back. Opponent finds a couple cards. Well, it was a pretty good Escape to the Wilds. We had to use, what, 4 of the 5 cards, and we lost a land? That's pretty good. All right, opponent gonna get lost the Yarion. Passes. Lotus Cobra, eh? Well, let's play the Lotus Cobra. We need to get our opponent low enough that Cut to Ribbons is lethal. So then we leave pressure on our opponent that they're going to have to leave up mana for a counter every single turn or else they die. So it's not just going to straight up win us the game because they have a lot of counters, but it is going to make our opponent play very inefficiently. Let's fire up a Maw and do a little mapping on the Maw. Yeah, I mean, let's mill the Spelunking. We already have so many lands in play. I feel like Spelunking, it would have been very good earlier, but I don't know if it's as good now. Let's go again, I guess. Map. I think we just want card draw. Yeah, we're going to mill the Bad Colony. I feel like, yes, well, 3/1/1 flyer sounds good. We haven't seen a sweeper from our opponent's deck yet. I feel like they're playing, they got to be playing a bunch of sweepers, right? That's kind of the whole blue-white control thing. So I imagine that sooner or later they're going to be Supreme Verdicting or Farewelling. Yeah, let's get in with the Maw. Not going to fire up the other ones. We're going to leave up the option to, depending on what our opponent does. Ew, Wandering Emperor. That's a good one. Sure. Gonna snipe our Maw. Well, thankfully, we found every Cavernous Maw, so we still have 3 more. And yeah, let's just do a little discovery here. See if we can find something helpful. All right, Calamitous Cave-In. Well, that's a fine one to have in hand. I imagine another Teferi is going to come down eventually, and we can't really let that stick. Opponent taking up the Wandering Emperor and land and okay. Well, that's why we were worried about bats. Opponent has a Supreme Verdict. Ooh, Genesis Ultimatum. Ooh, let's just Kenrith. I think we Kenrith and try to hasten to kill the Wandering Emperor, and then maybe we can like draw a card or something. Kenrith does have a lot of words on it. Yeah, I think step 1, haste up the Kenrith. Question is just what land to tap. Haste up the Kenrith. Get lost. Okay, this is actually kind of cute. So we can Kenrith, reanimate the Yarion, blink out the Kenrith to save it, and the Kenrith trigger still hasn't resolved. So now we have a hasty Yarion. Oh, that worked. That works so well. Kenrith does such cool things. Get rid of the Wandering Emperor. And pass turn. I mean, opponent's down to 3 cards. They do have the Memory Deluge. They need a sweeper here, though, right? Because we still have the Kenrith. If we untap with all of our mana and Kenrith. Oh, fair. Wow, they didn't go graveyards. Wow, that is so... Wow, the max punishment. The max punishment. Opponent did not go graveyards, presumably because they wanted their Memory Deluge. And now we draw the Pit of Offering, snipe it anyway. And that means we still have the Cut to Ribbons in the graveyard. And I think we're about to do some mawing. I think we might do a little mawing. Technically, we have a 2-turn Cavernous Maw clock. Fire him up, fire him up, fire him up. Go to combat. Get in and hit you for 9. Half your life. It's like we hit him with an Undead Slasher. Half your life total gone. All right, opponent. Can you stop our mighty Cavernous Maws? A little surveilling, eh? I mean, they could have another Wandering Emperor. That would be scary. Could have Settle the Wreckage. No one really plays Settle the Wreckage, so unlikely, but you never know. Oh, that would be a blowout. That would be... If they just Settle the Wreckage away all of our Maws, that would be very bad. Yeah, play the land and... Maw, yeah? Can we Genesis Ultimatum? Let's do it. Let's do it. It's so much fun. I don't even know if it's correct, but... All right, opponent. Show us your counter spell, opponent. Show us your counter spell. 3 steps ahead. All right, that's a good counter spell. Well, we got that counter out of hand. Maya. See, if we just went 3 Maws, they have the creature land, and they're leaving up so much mana. They could definitely have a Wandering Emperor. Fountain Port Fish, sure. Opponent goes to 8. 1, 2, 1. Well, we've reached the point where opponent knows they cannot tap down during their turn, or else they just die to Ribbons. Teferi. And draws a card. I mean, if they have Teferi, they're always going to be able to leave mana up, even if they tap down. That is part of the power of Big Teferi. Plays a land, and they only have 2 cards, though. I don't think we have to go for it yet, but at some point, we're just going to have to go for it. Well, first off, Calamitous Cave-In. All right, opponent has a veto. Well, Maya. And I think Maya. Go to combat. And I think we just go face. The Teferi is what the Teferi is. Down to 2. All right. I'm pretty sure the creature lands are the reason we have a chance in this matchup. If it wasn't for these Cavernous Maws, we would be so dead. I mean, opponents on their second Teferi, they've countered all of our big bombs, but they're down to 2, which means they cannot take a single Cavernous Maw hit. And, wow, they're down to 1. So our opponent, how do they do this? So our opponent needs to answer 3 Cavernous Maws, Cut to Ribbons, and potentially another Cut to Ribbons. All right, Narset, sure. That's a lot our opponent has to deal with here. And they can't keep Fountain Porting because they finally run out of life. Narset. Temporary lockdown. That is perfectly fine. I think we got it. Wow. I think we managed to outgrind the control deck, at least in game 1. Well, there's all of our Pits of Offerings. So I think step 1, I think we just do a little Cut to Ribbonsing. I mean, I think hopefully we win this kind of no matter what direction we go. But Cut to Ribbons, X1. Can you stop our mighty 3-mana 1 damage burn spell about it? All right, Dovin's Veto. That's fine, because we got another Cut to Ribbons, and we will cut your fish, ribbons your face, and opponent. Wow. Okay, well, we went toe-to-toe with the control deck and managed to grind our way through. Definitely bring in the Tested Talents, definitely bring in the Stone Brains. And then I guess we just cut, like, Farewells, some of the removal that can't hit Planeswalkers. That was a pretty grindy game. Yeah, let's try it like that. Well, apparently we got a shot against control, at least. That's good to know. On to game number 2, and we are going to be on the draw against blue-white control. Doesn't seem to be Lotus Field control. Seems to be traditional blue-white control. No Lotus Field shenanigans, which is good, because Lotus Field, well, all right. Cannot keep that one lander. Yeah, this we can keep. This hand is, I don't know if I'd call it exciting in the matchup, but it's passable. Yeah, let's just put World Tree to the bottom. Let's do it. Opponent starts on the tap land. Ooh, Cavernous Maw, okay. Feeling a little better, That's, we just needed a Maw. Honestly, Cavernous Maw might be the most important card in our deck in this matchup. Let's get down the Maw, play a Lotus Cobra. Resolves. That's good news. Opponent, land, and Narset. All right, well, that does shut down our Omnath. Thankfully, our big card draw spell is a Escape to the Wilds, which doesn't actually care about Narset. Well, step one, poke that Narset down to 1, and then Sunken Citadel on white. Make a mana, and I guess we grab our Yarion. Have we gotten any value out of you? I guess we did the cool trick with Kenrith. That was the best Yarion's been in this deck, was the cool Kenrith trick. Ugh, March. And our opponent taps down, but we cannot punish them because we have all tap lands. All right, well, pass the turn, yeah. It always hurts when you have a window like that and you can't take advantage of it against control. Like, the moment when they don't have mana up and we couldn't resolve anything big. So we know they can no more lies literally anything we play. I guess Felidar Retreat is the sacrificial lamb here. They probably have to counter it, right? Ooh, they have a veto too. All right, that's awkward. Well, let's play another Pits. This one gonna make blue mana along with white mana. Still no red. It's so funny if we draw, oh, what is it? Forsaken something. If we draw the cave that makes all of our caves tap for every color, then our mana is great. If we don't draw that and we don't draw World Tree, sometimes you end up in these situations where it's like we have 6 lands and we can still not cast most of our cards. Yarion we can cast though. After last game and getting got by Kenrith, I wonder if our opponent feels like they have to no more lies this. Wow, opponent just has every counter. I mean, they are blue-white control, so sure. 3 steps ahead. Stops the Yarion. Ooh, discards a Memory Deluge. All right, opponent. Land and Teferi. Well, this one might be slipping away. Opponent untaps a couple of lands. Well, we finally fixed our mana. There's the mana fixing cave. Huh. Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna Cavernous Maw, try to hit Teferi. Actually, yeah, I think we gotta hit Teferi. And then run out at Omnath. Hey, there's no more lies. Draws with Teferi. And Memory Deluge. The opponent trying to hit their land drops. Is there a way we actually can get back in this game? Finds their land. Chromos Seed Shark. Yeah, okay. Well, I think our opponent may have successfully gained control of this game. So Teferi's popping off. Let's play Kenrith and see. Do you have another counter? Yeah. Oh, we could have actually played around that one, I guess, a little bit. Yeah, all right. Could have played that a little cleaner, but I don't think we're getting back in that game. Even if we resolve the Kenrith, we're not getting back in that game. Like, our opponent they did what they're trying to do. They managed to take control. They stuck a finisher. They had 2 finishers, really, with Chromos Seed Shark and the Teferi. All right, well, at least we're on the play for game number 3. In this hand, I like the Bat Colony. If we can somehow slip in this Bat Colony, maybe that'll be the card, and our mana should be good. Well, Forest. Go. About it. Meticulous Archive. Sure. Well, play the land. Get down the Stone Brain. What do we Stone Brain? Teferi, I think, would be choice number 1. Oh, okay. Well, at least we got a 2-for-1 out of it. Opponent answers a Stone Brain. But now we get to get down the Bat Colony. I want to say Bat Cave, but it's Bat Colony. All right, make a couple bats. We have some pressure. Field of Ruin. And yeah, play a cave, grow a bat. Maybe Bat Colony is the secret to success in this matchup. Last game, we just never got to stick a threat. We couldn't pressure the Planeswalkers. Our opponent just kept every threat off the battlefield. But even just these couple of bats, that might be enough to change the way the game plays out. Well, play a land, grow a bat, go to combat. Cross our fingers there's no Wandering Emperor. Okay, opponent goes at 13. Okay, so our goal for this game, we have Cosmium Confluence. So I think our goal is get our opponent to 9 or less. Because what's going to happen, I assume, is our opponent's got to be playing for... Yeah, let's run out this Omnath, see what our opponent does. Our opponent's got to be playing for a sweeper, right? All right, they have a No More Lies, sure. They got to be playing for a sweeper, either a Supreme Verdict or a Farewell. What we need to do is get the game to a point where when our opponent wraths, they're going to be tapped down. We follow up with Cosmium Confluence, make a 9/9, kill you. That is our goal. Because I imagine next turn's got to be... I mean, if our opponent just doesn't have a Wrath, then the bats can actually just go all the way. Wow. All right, opponent down to 8. All right. I mean, this is the turn, right? So in theory, opponent's got to go land Farewell. Wait, did they just have nothing? Okay. Well, that does make things even easier if our opponent's just going to do nothing. I figured they had to be playing for a Wrath. I mean, we're still going to wait. We're not just going to run out the Cosmium Confluence. That's still our, if our opponent does find a Wrath, our way to get back in the game or close out the game. Opponent gonna fire up the creature land. Well, we will Volatile Fault it. What is it? Wow. I mean, last game we saw a ridiculous number of counters, right? Maybe this game is our opponent getting punished for having all those counters. They might just be sitting with a handful of counters as we beat them down with a single Bat Colony. Bat Colony's been an all-star in multiple matchups. That card might just be good. Maybe Bat Colony, like, again, you gotta play a bunch of caves, but assuming you meet the prereq of playing a double Cosmium Confluence. All right, opponent, show us that Wrath, and even if you got it, should be that they need Supreme Verdict plus counter backup. That's their chance about it. Do you have it? No. Well, okay. Caves in Pioneer might actually be kind of good. So what did we learn this week about Pioneer Caves on a budget? And overall, the deck was surprisingly good. So we went 6-2 with the deck. So pretty solid record, 75% win rate across a kind of small sample size. But still, the deck actually functioned way better than you would think, especially when you hear you're playing all the caves in this like janky standard land type. But the deck actually performed really, really well. And I think obviously the ramp stuff is good. Like if you ramp into a Zakama or pop off with Omnath, it's gonna be kind of easy to win a lot of matchups. I think the most important part of this deck though is how good the caves themselves were in the caves payoffs. We got to see Calamitous Cavid be so good as a sweeper, because not only is it a sweeper against creature decks, but it's a sweeper that was good against blue-white control to kill all the Teferis and stuff. Cosmium Confluence is just like an all-star. The ramping is good, plus it let us win games by surprise by making this huge 9/9. And then Bat Colony is just so underrated. We had some games where we could just get the aggro win almost by making bats and pumping them and closing out the game super quickly. Plus, we actually get a lot of value out of our mana base. Like Cavernous Maw, the cave creature land, that was responsible for us winning a lot of games, especially against control. Just having this tutorable creature land, really, really big deal. We even got to see like Pits of Offering, just exiling cards from the graveyard be relevant in some matchups. So even though we're playing all these tap lands and these lower rarity lands, the value actually adds up. So I gotta say, if you like going big and just like ramping a bunch, casting huge haymakers, Caves actually seems like a pretty sweet budget option for Pioneer. So anyway, everyone, that's Pioneer Caves. That's Better Budget Magic for this week. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.